the main gimmick of this game is that you can you can interact with the pause menu. So not only does it actually have settings that you can change, but you can actually physically interact with it. So that's level 1. Pretty easy, just introduces the main mechanic. So once you go into the actual settings, you can see you've got some sliders here. This is the slider menu. There's 3 different menus. They all do different things. So you've got this camera slider, which not only zooms in and out, but can also do some other cool stuff later. You've got gravity here. This lowers your gravity. And obviously you can raise it, speed up and slow down time. So I originally made this game for the GMTK game jam, and I originally got the idea by messing around with UI in one of my other games, and I realized you can put colliders on UI elements, which doesn't actually work. You can't interact with those colliders, but it gave me the idea of, what if there was a game where you could like physically interact with the UI, and so I kind of had that idea in my back pocket for a while, and when I heard the theme for the game, I just kind of decided to go with like a reverse the role of the pause menu type thing, and so I started working on prototyping it, seeing if it would work. And so my first method of just putting a collider on the UI didn't work, unfortunately. So I instead had to do some engineering. And basically how they work is you've got the actual UI element, and then you've got these collider objects which keep track of the position. It takes the screen position and converts it to a world position. Actually, quick break, I'm going to explain this mechanic real quick. So this is a level that introduces one of the main mechanics of the game, the shrinking and growing mechanic. And this mechanic I think is really cool, because you basically, if you're standing on one of these sliders and you shrink, or you zoom in or zoom out, then your player will stay the same size relative to the camera. Although he does start growing there a little bit, because I had to balance it so that you couldn't just get infinitely small like you could in the Game Jam version. And again, if you zoom out, you become bigger. And there's a couple levels that use that. And this level was actually redesigned from the original so that it's kind of easier to figure out how to do that. Kind of forces you to go up this little path here. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get all the stars too, in case someone is trying to do 100%. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Oh, I am too big now. I'm going to shrink a little bit. So go in here. You can use the sliders to like sort of act as platforms here, but I prefer to just do the platforming. I forgot what I was talking about. There you go. Anyway, so I wanted to emphasize the fact that this UI is actually a UI and not just like random platforms that turn on and off. So that's why I added the camera in, because it actually changes the size of the colliders that you can interact with. It also changes their position, which is important in this level, because, you know, you push this button, but how do you get over there? So you got to push it with one of the sliders, which is pretty cool, I think. And there's a lot of levels that require you to precisely position the pause menu with the camera so that you can either put a platform in the right position or push a button with one of these platforms. So this introduces a new mechanic, which is, I think, is probably one of my favorite mechanics, because it allows you to move the screen, which helps you, because there's no way to push this button right now. It's impossible. So you have to actually move the entire screen, and then you can push it with the gravity slider. But I'm gonna get this star. So this star actually requires a mechanic that hasn't been introduced yet. So you enable the drop down, which also is dark mode. The reason that it's both dark mode and enabling the drop down is just for balancing. Like, the drop down would be really broken if you could see. Like, there would be a lot of cheese. And so while technically, so I'm actually zooming out right now, so I'm moving closer to the star. There you go. You have to be able to not see while you're using the drop down, because I didn't want you to be able to just cheese every level with the drop down. So some levels have light sources of their own, and usually those are the levels where you're actually intended to use the drop down. So then we can beat the level. I'm gonna push this over. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Uh-oh. It's really easy to screw this level up, which I feel like this level could have been designed a little bit better, because sometimes people don't quite understand what they're doing to solve it. This level was in the original, so this level sort of explores the gravity mechanic a little bit more. So you need to lower the gravity to be able to push this box across, or it just makes it a lot easier to push it across. You can also use the brightness to like pull it across, and then you're here and it doesn't push it down, and you're like, why? And then you realize that the gravity is too low. So the gravity actually needs to be higher for the box to be able to push the button down. And then this is just one way to get the star. So the star only appears up here in one of the menus. That's probably my favorite solution to get the star, but there are other solutions too. And then what's nice about this is you can just use this as like a bridge to get across. And then this one, I see a lot of people struggling with this one, but it's actually way easier than it may seem. You can literally just ride the camera and just chain these up. And then the star is pretty easy too. But this one just kind of shows how these can be like, how these can move the screen around a lot, and you can use that to explore a level. Brightness, pretty straightforward. A lot of people don't understand what this is. This is just a light source. Like, you can see there's light coming from it. I guess it kind of looks like a vault door, but it is actually a light source. It's supposed to be like a light bulb here on like a metal plate, but I guess it kind of doesn't look like that, depending on how you perceive it. Anyway, this jump is a little tough. You gotta unpause right after you jump. There we go. Let's see if I can do this. Nice. This one, I like this one, because it actually forces you to use all of your resources. So, you know, most people naturally zoom out first, See the star? Some of the stars are connected to the doors, which can be a little confusing. So eventually, you'll figure out that you have to use the main menu here. And then there's a couple solutions. You can either just time your jumps, which is not something that I'm good at, apparently. But I think the more fun solution is slow down time. And then, boom. And there are a lot of levels that have like multiple solutions that are equally as satisfying, which I like a lot. Because you want to give the player some freedom to mess around with the mechanics, figure out what works and what doesn't. So when I was originally making the game for the game jam, I'll come back to that thought, hopefully, if I don't forget what I was saying. So these require you to line up the toggles and then turn them on. So they're basically just a different type of switch. Also, you might notice the numbers just disappear when dark mode is on, and that's because the shaders that I'm using for the whole light thing don't work with the text. So I just kind of had to improvise, and so the numbers are actually just disappearing instead of, because I didn't want you to be able to see the numbers. When the dark mode was on, because then you could use it to like move around. Anyway, yeah, so when I was originally making the game, I had to figure out what settings I wanted in this menu, which sliders I wanted. Obviously the camera one is the most important. Camera one's probably like the most central mechanic to the game. The time one, I thought since it's a platformer, it'd be cool to be able to change the gravity so you can jump higher. And then I've always wanted to be able to just slow down a game for a tough platforming section. And so I added the time one. And so those were kind of the main three. And then I knew I wanted a brightness one too, just because it's funny. And I knew how to do light stuff. And these two are also positioned in the middle, which allows you to do something cool that I will show you in this level. So this thing down here, this eyeball, all this is supposed to do is indicate that there is something off screen that's important. And so with this level, I intended to, this was just introduced, so you know that you're supposed to use a toggle, but there's no way to hit the toggle to overlap it with this right now. So I expect people to turn this on and then realize that they can explore. So they find the door, and then they realize there's an eye thing over here. And this mechanic was actually really difficult to code, but you can actually click on things inside of the player camera, which I think is really cool, and also very intuitive. But that actually took a bit of messing around with to get it to work. So about these being in the middle, you can actually move an eye block when you're, anyway, to get the star, when it's like targeted on it, and you can use that to just move the whole screen. I don't know if I think I got the star in the last level. Anyway, the star is up at the top because, of course it is. Interesting. There is a weird gravity bug where sometimes you don't get the full jump. I'm not really sure why, but I could never figure that out. Not a big deal. Anyway, so you put it in this little hole, zoom out, and then you can light it up. This is probably one of my favorite levels. Originally, this level was actually called Memory, and I like got rid of all of the icons here. Like you couldn't tell what anything actually did. Like all of these, the text was gone. But then I realized that kind of just didn't really add anything to the level, and the level's already pretty good. As usual, there's plenty of ways to get over here. I really like this star also, because it requires you to use the player camera, which you just learned about. And you can also use it as a platform. So the toggles you can only use as platforms when they're on. Okay, hit this. And then this kind of forces you to use the player camera. Slow down time to the platforming parts. So the button is actually down here. The button for this door, which forces you to put your gravity up a little bit. So you have to kind of be careful timing this part. And you can just fall through. And these pink things that you can only see in the player camera they're just the colliders for the UI elements. So they kind of had to be there, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see where you're supposed to jump. I also thought it was pretty cool to be able to see it. Alright, so this introduces drop down. The drop down mechanic I think is really cool, because it allows you to pass through walls. And the reason that this area is not lit up is because I'm also introducing another mechanic in this level. You have to use the brightness to push this and move the screen. So I kind of wanted the brightness to be on the right, because you have to push it left. So I'm kind of forcing the player to move the brightness over here. The problem with that is it makes it a little bit more confusing with what is actually happening here, since it goes dark as soon as you are inside of this. So you go inside of the drop down, and you're now in it. So you can, wherever you open the drop down, it's going to drop you off there. So you can use it to get through walls, which I think is pretty cool. So you use brightness to push this. Normally you would get out here if you're just trying to win, but I'm going to get the star. It's easier to do this if you slow time down, and gravity if it falls off. So you use camera to push this up, and then zoom out. It's going to start going back down, so you got to quickly get the star, get back in, and then you can just push this back over here. And I went too far. There you go. This is a little janky. Oh no. Yeah, it's a little janky sometimes. This is another new mechanic that was not in the original. And this thing, I have a lot of fun with this thing later on. I think it's pretty cool. So, I actually had to rework the entire, movement system just to get this to work, and how gravity worked in the game. So this just, all it does is rotate the player. And the way the gravity works is that, what am I doing? Is that there's just a constant force, a relative force, being added down on the player. And that's how it works for boxes and pretty much everything that has gravity in the game. And it's easier to just restart after you get that. And then you need to go fall through this. That's why it's called falling parallel. Zoom out so you don't get hit by the spikes. There's this weird shrinking bug there, I'm not really sure what's up with that. I think it's because you're parented to the slider when you go into the door. So this is another indicator that something is off screen, which is important later. I really like the catch for this level, because most people would just do this, and then they realize that once they use the drop down, they can't get up. So you have to instead use the brightness as an elevator, so that your gravity will be correct when you use the drop down. And this star is kind of hard to get, but it's not that hard. There are some stars later on that are pretty ridiculous. If I was going to change anything about the game, I would probably rework some of the stars, just because they're kind of crazy. Also, there are some stars that require you to beat the entire level to get, and then you can't beat the level once you get the star, and that's pretty annoying. There we go. So now you can use this, and the cool thing about this is you can use it on either screen. And there you go. So this level's interesting. I kind of am not crazy about this level, but I thought it was a cool idea. So this is just the level select screen, essentially. So you've got all 45 levels here, and the idea is you need to activate the level that you're currently on to open this door. And there's also a star down here somewhere. That there's another level that's called The Star Is Here, and on that level, that's the level you're supposed to activate to get the star to come up. So it's kind of like a very meta hint, but I think it's kind of cool. It also requires you to get used to moving this thing around with the sliders, which is pretty important later, and I'm not good at it. Oh wait, I want to be on the other one. Oops. Also, one thing I wanted to do was, shrink the player camera so that you can actually see when you're moving the, oh no. Oh no. Come on. Alright, whatever. So that you can see when you're moving this with the sliders, but I just didn't feel like it because it would have been a lot of work to get the this to work. The whole clicking things on the player cam. So the star level is this one. Which, fun fact, this level is also my least favorite level. It kind of sucks, but... oh, what's also nice is that the level that you're currently on is this one. So that lines up pretty nicely if you're going for the star. It's pretty slow right now. Let me just speed this up. Okay. You can also choose this level with the drop down. And I knew about that, and I decided to leave it in, just because a little bit of cheese is okay. So you can basically skip that entire first section. I like cheese. I like some cheese, because it's rewarding and satisfying to do. So what you're supposed to do here, this is actually, I don't think this is a very cool puzzle, but it's kind of necessary for the player to know that you're able to push buttons with these. So I kind of like forced a section where they would learn it, because it's pretty important later on. This level is interesting. So I kind of added these little things on the rotator block. So this is sort of like a little vehicle now. So you can either do something like this, which is really cool, but it actually makes the level way harder. So what you're supposed to do is just bonk your head on this, and then you can just fly up. And then you can either use the player camera or the little eyeballs to see what you're doing. I tried to use, so I made all of these mechanics before I started making any levels. And then, well, not all of them, but most of them. And then I just brainstormed different ways that you could use them. So the rotator not only rotates you, changes your gravity, but I realized you could also just bonk your head on this slider, and it would make it like fly up, which I thought it'd be really funny to just base an entire level on that. So that's what I did. This one's interesting. This level sort of does what it's supposed to do. The first thing that it does is that it teaches you that you can use any slider to shrink yourself, not just the camera slider, which a lot of people were not realizing during playtesting. So I forced you to have to use the time slider to shrink down. I also thought it would be cool to have a level that had like some mini platforming, which I had to nerf a lot because it was too hard. So this entire section down here is just to get the star, but it's a little bit confusing. It distracts from like the main purpose of the level. And originally this door was not here. You could just go down here, and then it just made the level very confusing, because this level introduces a new mechanic that I don't want to get like clouded by all the other stuff in the level, and you can actually just make this jump. So to be able to get down here, it actually requires you to understand the new mechanic before you can do it, which is that you can use, the name of the level is a bridge of text. So you can actually use the text as a bridge. You can interact with the text, which, oh, that doesn't normally happen. Other times. Anyway, to get the star, it requires you to use the text as to push the button. So you line that up, pushing the button up here. There's, as far as I know, there's no other way to push that button. And then you just kind of go through here. And I like this star. This is probably one of my favorite stars in the game, because it like recontextualizes the entire area. So you have to rotate this way. I think you can cheese this star. I'm pretty sure you can like get down here and then like switch between the menus and then right across the brightness. So that's not perfect, but you know, I didn't account for every single cheese. So now you have to like cut your jumps early through this section. This jump is actually not possible, so you have to use the camera. And then you gotta line it back up to open the door. And now this isn't even a challenge because you can just fall here. So this is why I really like this star, is because you have to use the text in a very interesting way. So basically you're gonna push yourself through this tunnel by typing. That's probably my favorite star solution, though there are some other pretty cool ones. And then you just fall through here. And you can use the brightness to get back up, thankfully. You don't have to redo the whole level. So there are a couple levels in the game that like change the rules. They're kind of gimmicky. This one actually stops the player. It like removes all your control and like freezes the player in time, like an actual pause would do. So you have to use that to your advantage. So you can still push yourself around with the sliders like this. And there are... I really like this solution, but apparently you can cheese it. And the reason the button doesn't work here is because time stopping, the gimmick of this level also applies to the door and the button. So it's not going back up right now because it can't. Because time, the physics of things have stopped. So like you saw, you just push yourself across with the text. There is cheese where you can just use this and like kind of pause and unpause and just slowly make your way across. Which I kind of wish wasn't there. It's cool, but at the same time, being able to push things with text is something that you need to learn for the next level. So you have to open the door first, and then you gotta push yourself down here so that you can actually make it through here before the door closes. Why are they all yellow? I'm sick of yellow. Can you get a different color, please? Orange. Sure, why not? So this level introduces the idea that you can change the size of boxes as well as yourself. So you gotta make the box small enough to fit through this gap and then push it through. And then you also have to make it bigger by zooming out so that you can push this button. Otherwise I'm making it smaller again, so it's maybe not the best. I think you can just do this though. Yeah. So then you lift this up, push the button. Ah, I forgot I have to shrink myself to be able to fit through that gap up there. And do this. Make your way into this little gap. Oh, you gotta use the player camera here, otherwise you won't see what you have to do. And normally this would be blocked by this if you still have the box here. So you just gotta make sure to move the box if you're blocked there. And there you go. So this one was in the original, and it forces you to, you have to get this box out to be able to jump across here. So you have to use the text to push it out, because there's no other way to do that. And then you have to use the box to push the button too. But you don't want to just put this on the time slider, because then when you zoom out it'll get too big. It won't be able to fit through the gap over here. So you gotta push it over first. Wait, come on. Come on. Please. I actually wanted to make it so that when you're like against the wall and you run, you like push the box out, but I just didn't have time to add that. I didn't really feel like adding it, to be honest. It would have been cool, but it wasn't really necessary, considering that you can just push the box out with the slider. So it's kind of the same idea as light box, heavy box. You gotta keep your gravity low to get back up here, and then it's easier to just restart this level. It would have been really cool. If you could like, you see how it doesn't push when you do space, but then as soon as you, let me show it on the player camera. Can I even do that? Yeah, I can. So basically, if you look down here, you can see the collider, like how it works. So it just adds more with every letter. And when you do space, it doesn't actually add anything, but as soon as you type another letter, it becomes a full collider again. It would have been really cool if you could type space here and not interact with that, because then you could use that as, I could design an entire puzzle around that, but it would have just been ridiculously hard to get it to work like that, so I just decided not to. It would have taken like so long, I wouldn't even know where to start, and it would have only been for like one level, so just decided not to. So you can make this jump. And then you have to use brightness to push yourself across. Very slowly, because for some reason if you go too fast, it doesn't push the box. I don't know why. The colliders are kind of finicky sometimes. So just gotta be very careful. There was another mechanic earlier on that I didn't explain. Basically, some things only appear in certain menus, like the doors or stars or the spikes in this level only appear in the brightness in the main menu. I just thought that kind of fit with the theme of the game, while also allowing me to add more obstacles and challenge. This is this is something, I'm not really sure what. So you have to shrink to get through these little gaps, but you can't shrink because there's spikes. So that's the catch. And so the last two levels taught you that you can use a box to, oh, my computer's about to die. Anyway, what I was saying is that the last two levels taught you that, one, you can change the size of a box by putting it on a slider, and two, that you can put boxes over spikes to be able to avoid the spikes. So you have to combine both of those ideas in this level to be able to shrink yourself. So you gotta push these boxes over and get them onto one of the sliders. Because what's cool is you can actually shrink yourself while also shrinking the box. And that was actually the solution, or one of the solutions to, if you played the original Pause to Play, this was the solution for one of the parts in the final level. Oh, great. Also, if you line this up and do it just like I did, then you'll see that there's a box on top of the gravity slider, which is really nice because you need that to be there to be able to get the star. Just kind of works out. So you go here, the star is behind this box, and then this part's kind of trolling This was like unintentional, but it's pretty funny. So the door's right here, but if you come in from this side, you just can't make it. It's so close. So you actually have to come in from this side. And I thought that was pretty funny. So I just left it in. Alright, this level is another level that explores some of the other uses of the rotator block. It also uses the drop down. Basically, if you see this thing, that's an indicator that you're going to need to use the drop down. So I usually just go ahead and put myself in the drop down, just because that's easier. Come on. Although you do have to keep the... Oh, wonderful. You have to keep the... enable... You have to keep dark mode on while you're in the drop down, otherwise something very bad happens. So basically, it's called push and pull. So there's no way to get this off of this platform. Right now your main goal is just to push this button. So there's no way to get this off unless you use one of these. So you can push it off, falls down, lower gravity. And then you need to use this to actually pull this box over here, like that. You can also right click this to like recenter it, recenter the slider part. And so this is a little jank, but you basically have to do, oh wow, that's new. That's not new, but I've never seen it happen right there. Yeah, this level's a little jank, unfortunately. I think this might still work, hopefully. Yay! Alright. So yeah, you just gotta mess with the gravity a little bit. And then, boom. Once the door is open, it allows you to pass through with the drop down. We'll go ahead and do this. So now I can turn the light back on. So to get these, you're supposed to use the text to like build a bridge across, but you can just make this jump if you're good at the game, which I happen to be, because I made it. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes I'm good at the game. Also, the spike hitboxes are pretty generous, so you can kind of clip them a little bit. Gondola. This is probably one of my favorite levels. There's also this little Easter egg. You basically just have to restart. If you fall through that, just hit R to restart. So there's two solutions to this level. The reason this little thing is up here is because it allows you, if you go up there, I can make it, and you have, you have the camera on, their camera, it shows you where the door is and where the star is. So this, this level kind of tests your spatial awareness. So there's two valid solutions, but one of them is like not really intended, but it is pretty cool. Anyway, so the way that you get the star is like this. And if you ever end up in this situation where your gravity's not completely on an axis, then you can use that and snap to angle. This jump's a little bit hard, but not too bad. to get up here, and then get a star, and then there's no way to get to the door from here unless you do one of the solutions, which is tough. I'm going to do the intended solution. So a gondola, if you don't know, is it's like one of those like flying they like hang on a wire. Sometimes they're at amusement parks, and they like it's basically a box that rides along a wire in the sky, and you can ride on them. Oh yeah, you gotta use brightness to like pull this across. And I called it gondola because it's kind of what you're doing. This thing's like hanging here. So then you gotta move this to bring this over here, and then you can jump over here and go around the whole level. And there you go. Ah yes, multiplayer. This one's cool. So if either of your characters die, then you have to restart. So right now there's no way to get up there. So you have to actually offset characters by using the menu, which you can do in a couple different ways. This is probably my favorite way. So then you have to use the drop down to sort of get this guy over here. Careful not to hit any spikes. So you can get into the drop down. And now I can move around freely with this guy. So the goal is I'm going to drop off your dude over here. And if you want to get this star, you actually have to... Right now there's no way to hit this button. Like, this is not going to work. So what you actually have to do is make the player bigger, which you can do like this. And then eventually they'll be big enough to where you can like push them into the button. Like that. And then that opens up a section down here, which allows you to get the star. And now it's just a matter of not running into the spikes as I make my way over here. Pushy Sliders. So this is another one of those gimmicky levels where you can't actually move the sliders with the mouse. You have to push them physically with the character. So first thing you want to do is bonk that up so that you can lower gravity. To get the star, you kind of have to do a little bit of... Oops. This needs to be up a little bit. And then the one time, this is the one time in the game that reset scale actually has a function. The reset scale is kind of just like there for convenience. But right now, there's no way for me to get through this because I had to move the camera out so that I can get this over here. So reset scale allows me to get up here, and then I just buffer a jump off of that, and there you go. And you can bonk this back up. So now all you have to do is push this button, which will open the door up at the top and allow you to get to the end. So you could push it with the time, like that. But if you do that, then there is no way, even with low gravity, There's no way to get up here. As far as I know. Anyway, I don't think there's a way to get up here. So what you actually have to do is... See, this is why it was important that you learned earlier that you can push buttons with the toggles. So basically you just gotta position it so that the toggle pushes it down. Which I think means this needs to be a little further up. And then down a little bit. It's kind of tough because you have to be very precise. Yeah. Yeah, this one's kind of finicky at this part. You just have to kind of position it correctly. There we go. And then you can use the other one as a platform to get up. So this one's kind of tough. I like this one. This one's probably also one of my favorites. So the gimmick is that you can't go off screen or you die. So naturally the first thing you'd want to do is open this door after I kill myself. But that is actually a red herring. So it is possible to hit this, but only if you move this up. And oh, great. You can actually get yourself through the door if you use the drop down, or if you just do that. But there's no way to get this through the door because it'll close once it reaches this point. I wouldn't be surprised if there was cheese that allows you to push this through the door, but hopefully there's not. My playtesting was not extremely thorough, but I did get rid of a lot of cheese and a lot of bugs, so it's a functional game. It's at least functional. Oh wait, I'm gonna get the star. So the star is up at the top here, so you have to like ride this up. So you see, cool thing about this is I am moving the entire screen. So as long as I stay on screen, then I'm fine. And then I'll just die, because I have to. So, assuming that this works as it's supposed to, you actually have to just fall down this hole. And then go around it. And then right up again. This part's a little bit tricky. Once you get up here, you need to push this across. So this needs to be on top of this. I can use brightness to do that while staying on screen. So you have to use brightness as a platform here. So make sure that's on the left side. And then you just line up the collider or the toggle. And then you have to do this very quickly. So wait for that to open, jump off of this, and then jump off of that. So from this point on, all of the levels are pretty tough. I don't know exactly where we are. Oh, we're on 30. Alright. There are some bonus levels too that you have to get all the stars for. Okay. So the idea of this level is that there's a giant button here. And even the weight of both boxes at full gravity is not enough to push this button down. So you have to actually force it down using one of these colliders. But you can't do that right now. Because it doesn't reach. So what you gotta do is, well, first thing you gotta do is make this box a little bit bigger, because it's too small. And just make it a little bit bigger. And then get it back onto the edge of the button. So if it's just on the edge of the button like that, now I can use the gravity slider to push it down. To push the box down, which will push the button down. And then you need this box over here. Oh, I gotta get the star. Getting the star for this level is pretty simple. I mean, there's plenty of ways to do it. You just gotta find a way to jump up there. So you have to actually push yourself up through this door very quickly, because gravity's high. So gravity has to be high for you to push this down, which means you're not going to be able to jump up here. So you need the box over there to, and you still can't even make it. But if you use the camera to just push yourself through, then you'll make it. Like that. Pretty tough solution. And then you just lower that. There you go. So the next level. Oh yeah, here we go. This is my least favorite one that I was talking about. So the star is here. All that means is that the star in the level select level is on this level, this spot. Yeah, this is going to be fun. So the first half of the level isn't too bad. You have to use the text to get across this gap. I guess the gimmick of this level is that you start upside down and there's not really any way to change that, so the entire level is upside down. Here you just want to use the brightness to get across, and then it gets annoying. But it's a good level, I swear. Promise it's good. Yeah, the idea behind this level is to explore the uses of this a little bit more. So you use this as a platform to get up here, and then you actually need to make this larger. So assuming you know how to do that, first thing you want to do, you should have learned that at this point, that you can make things larger by putting them on. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. May have screwed myself. Maybe not. Maybe this. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this level's just like probably the most tedious level, which is why I don't like it. But I didn't feel like redesigning it. Oh, great. Yeah, also if you reset the position of this, it'll also reset the scale, so keep that in mind. So now it's bigger, a little bit anyway. It needs to be even bigger. So we'll just do this. I tried to make it in general so that when you have to make a box grow or shrink, it doesn't take like forever. I try to position it in a way that it wouldn't take forever. Anyway, I have to make this jump, which is a little bit scary. There we go. Clear camera so you can see what I'm doing. Obviously the star is over here, so I have to raise gravity here, which is really scary. So if I push myself up here, very carefully. And then I kind of need to position this here so that it doesn't go all over the place when I move this. I think you can just make this jump with the lower gravity. Yeah, I should be able to make that. I might want to push this over a little more. It's just a tedious level. Oh, another weird bug that I never figured out how to fix. I am parented to this, so when this moves, and this moves, I should move with it, but for some reason I don't. But that only happens when I push this. Like if I push this, it moves this, but you don't move with it. If I push this, this moves, but you don't move with it. I'm not entirely sure why that happens. All I know is that it has something to do with the fact that this is a UI element. Oh no. So I can actually do something really interesting here, which I didn't even know about until I figured it out, which is how most things work. But if I right click this, it'll reset the size, which will actually teleport me basically. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. You can do that. And it'll just like teleport you through the wall. And shrink you also. So I'm just gonna go over here. Make this big again. And it needs to be up at the top actually. So it should be big enough. But now we have to raise it up here. Boom. So this was like the whole idea of this level, was that you would do something like this. And then you could use the brightness to push it across, kind of like in Gondola. And this might be too small. Actually, hold up. There's something cool you can do. It might actually work. So you can either push this across with brightness, or you can just get it directly onto brightness, like that. This is really cool, because now it'll move the player as well. I could not tell you why this works. I wish I could. Hopefully I don't kill myself here. And there you go. But that is a really cool solution. But yeah, I would imagine that level's pretty hard to figure out. This one's pretty cool. Requires you to change the rotation of a box, which is also has a mobile button, but there's a button on the box, which is not something that has been seen before. So step one, get over here so you can push the box. Then you're going to move it up with brightness. You can write it. Oh, I forgot. I have to shrink for the star. Oh yeah, this is one of those levels where you have to beat the entire level twice just to get the star. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm gonna shrink myself a little bit. I'm a little bit off, so let me just okay, so we want this to come over here, and then we push it on to here. There you go. And then that does that, which is pretty cool. So this opens one, this opens two. So there's actually no way to hit this button without using this box. So you have to use the box to hit this button. And you also want this to be a little bit to the right, actually a lot to the right, so that, oh great, we're going to move the camera up first. So move camera up first so it's not in the way. And then you want this to be over to the right so that you can push it down with this. But I actually don't want to do that. I think I forgot to position the brightness. I have to position brightness like over here. Like here-ish should be fine. And then, oh wow, I did not think this through very well. No, that's not good. Zoom out. So this is to get the star, you have to do some weird stuff. So you actually want brightness to push both of these down. And I should have positioned it so that it would do that. So your gravity has to be this way. There you go. So brightness pushes both of these down. The only way to get over here, I think my gravity is all the way down. Use this as an elevator. Then this part's kind of hard. You can actually move this over here a little bit. And then you gotta do this jump, which is a little scary. And then turn that off. There you go. And then the spike is a little bit scary. So I'm just gonna lower time. And that's how you get to star. And because I'm a genius game designer, I made it so that you have to do the entire level again. Just to get back to the door. Alright, on to level 33. As you can probably tell, this level's a little gimmicky as well. So the screen moves on its own between 4 different positions. So you've got 2 doors up here blocking the exit. And your goal, let me move this box real quick because it needs to move. You gotta get this button to push. I'd like to see what I'm doing. Thank you, won't have to be there. Okay, I was very close to pushing that off. Anyway, let me slow down time a bit. Oh, so we need all of these to open. These boxes are holding these doors down. Normally you could just lower gravity to make them go up. But I can't do that now because they're heavier than normal boxes. Because they have to be, or the level would not work. So we are going to use the text instead to lift all of these up. Hopefully we don't mess this box up because I need it to stay there. So doing that is going to let me run through here. Boom. Basically, the inspiration behind that puzzle was I was just trying to brainstorm different ways that I could use the text. And I thought, well, I could lift a bunch of boxes up all at once, which would be pretty cool. So there's that. Oh, I gotta get the star. No. Alright, I will get the star after I push this out. Just take it. Why did I delete the text? What am I doing? I have to use the text again. Oh wow, performance is great. Okay. My favorite game mechanic, waiting. Alright, there we go. Now we push this boy out. We're going to use this to rotate the box over here. So we're just going to push it on in here. I can move that, would be nice. That would be nice. There we go. Close enough. Alright. So, now I'm just gonna... Oh, I can't get back there. That's fine. Unpause so that I think it's messed up. I need there to be space here. Yeah, if I had thought about... Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Yeah, I didn't really think about that, did I? No, I did not. That's fine, we can use the time to push it out, which is probably gonna have some other effects that I don't want. Okay, that's fine, this is good. This is good. Now I gotta wait for a minute for this to fall down. Okay. Alright. So the goal here is to rotate the box so that its gravity will be able to make it push that button. And hopefully everything works. Alright, so... Ooh, a little bit janky. But it works. Oh! Okay. Now I have to actually lift the box somehow. Somehow, yep, that works. I'll take it. And now I have to lift it again. Great. Yep, just gotta use. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Just gotta use your resources. It's the whole point of this game. Come on. There we go. Speed up time a little bit, so I don't have to keep waiting. Alright, now, this button is covered. Now the plan is... Oh, let's not do this. I feel like waiting forever. Oh, wait, I gotta get the star. Star is just the drop down. Pretty simple. I just have to get into the drop down, which is a little difficult. Okay, it's right there. Nice. Boom. I can't see anything. We will be able to see though in a second, as soon as the light comes back around. Oh, we hit the switch, apparently. We are probably on the left right now, yeah, okay. So I gotta very carefully do this. Dang it, now I'm stuck in there. I gotta wait through another cycle. Alright, whatever. Let me just slow down a little bit. This box got messed up, that's fine. So I'm gonna zoom in slightly. There we go. A little bit more. Oh no, oh no. Alright, I got it. Now, hopefully I don't get trapped in there. Boom. Easy game. Got the star. We're basically done at this point. Let me just turn this off. Yeah. Jump up here. Fix the button. And go down. Bonk. Alright, now, can I jump up to the... Oh, hello. I'm gonna use this actually. It's also convenient. Alright, the text doesn't need to be here anymore. Okay, slow down time. Hold it. I'm up here now, so I can raise the gravity. Slow down time. This is actually kind of difficult. Okay, perfect. Oh, not perfect. Oh, no. Okay, okay, okay. Yes. Yes. Alright. That level's a little bit tedious, but kind of fun. Come on. There we go. Oh boy, tilted. So the entire idea for this level was, you'll never guess. So we've got some diagonal buttons here, which serve to open those doors, obviously. I'm a little distracted by the visuals here. You can see a little bit of the button coming through right there. It's weird. Not a problem. Anyway, let's get the star. This star is pretty easy, hopefully. I mean, there's some tight platforming here, but it's not too difficult. Gotta slow down time. Bonk. We're just gonna ignore that. This actually is kind of hard. Since it's at an angle. Okay. There we go. Let's restart. So, how do I push these buttons? Well, we've already learned that boxes can grow and boxes can change their gravity direction. So, that's basically the solution to this level. Is you want to move this box. First you want to change its, oh no, that's not good. Don't want it to be against the wall. So step one is rotate this box so that it's falling down, sort of, down at an angle. Come on. You don't want it to be against the wall here, or you can't really get it out. There we go. Go ahead and position this. I think I want to do this way, yeah. So you want it like this. And then push that on to there. Perfect. Wait for that to fall. Okay. So now we want to rotate it so that it's facing down like that. So we're going to use this box to push both buttons. So now I have to get up there so I can actually it would be beneficial to be small here, probably. You definitely want to play your camera and see what you're doing. Push this out, and we need to zoom out, so we need to make sure if you look down here, you'll be able to see exactly where you want this box to land, which is right there on the camera. And then we'll zoom out. It'll grow the box. Just get out of the way. The box is getting bigger. Doesn't need to be huge. That should be fine. I guess I could just unpause. Yeah. And then we just want this to kind of fit in this little gap right there. Perfect. So now the problem is, how do I actually get it to push them down? Step one, gravity. We'll push the left one. And then my gravity has to be low, otherwise I'm not going to be able to get up here. So we're going to use the camera to actually hold this box in place after I push it down, so that it's hitting both. And then as I lower the gravity, it'll stay there. Now I just got to make this jump, and we're home free. There you go. Just a lot of box manipulation, which is a little tedious. I tried not to do too many levels that were just... I say that, and now here's another one. This was also in the previous game. So the idea here is that every single button has to be pushed down to open this door. You know what an AND gate is, that'll make sense. And then the inverted version, where none of the buttons are pressed, is how you get the star. So, there's a very nice catch in this level. See, this is very tempting, because you can push 4 buttons with the sliders. But there's no way, since the gravity is low, these are not going to be able to push buttons, which is not what you want. There's also no way for you to be able to get to the door after all the buttons have been pushed. So, step one, just a little bit of logic. You know that you have to be here. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to run through the door. So, you have to be here. And once you just mess around a little bit, figure out what you can use to push what, you'll find that this box needs to go somewhere else. So we're going to do a little bit of finagling. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I don't want it to be too big, so I'm just going to push it around. There we go. And then we'll just kind of boom down, bring this back over here. That goes there. Now, how to push. So these top two buttons you can push with the text, the long string of text. And as you'll see, the brightness is pushing this one. So that leaves these two buttons over here. And you're left with one box. So all we have to do is use the mechanic that you've been using to make the box bigger so that it can hit two buttons. Make it a little bit bigger. A little bit hard to position, but that should do it. And you just want to make sure you don't accidentally push it off. So now we just need to position the text. There you go, there's one. Still need to get through here. And then there's two. Beautiful. And that just leaves this one. So gravity, oh oops, gravity goes up. All of those are pushed. And then boom. Not quite. Gotta zoom in a little bit. Boom. There you go. I do like this level. It's pretty cool. Alright, layers. Layers was one of the first ideas I had once I came up with the drop down. It's basically pretty self-explanatory. You just have to use the drop down to get through the walls and figure out how to get to the door. So this indicates that there is an eyeball up here. So we want to get to a point where we can see the eyeball. There's also a star up here that I need to get. So let's start by getting in the drop down. Step 1. Cannot see anything. Boom. I'm gonna leave this here because you'll want it there later. Alright, so I need to land on this so I can get the star. So we're gonna drop out, fall, land on this, and then jump up to here. Okay, now we're on a little ledge up there. This is where the eyeball is, right there. I'm gonna push it over. I think it's kind of funny that it blocks the star. And this would actually be a really good puzzle if you couldn't do this. You can just do that, which I'm gonna do because I don't feel like doing what you actually are supposed to do. Okay, so now I want to get back into the drop down, so if I can just get back on the other side of this, that would be nice. Oh no. Maybe I can go under. Yes. Alright. To the drop down. It's a little bit fast. Yeah, the controls are kinda finicky. I actually made them. They were like way smoother, but like not in a good way. In the previous game, they were way smoother but now you stop a lot quicker, which is helpful with the precision platforming. Anyway, so this needs to go down. Let's speed that up. And then you're going to want to get into this section here, where the door is. And if I'm correct, it's not possible to get anywhere else. Yeah, so now we're in here, which is where we want to be. I will also say that if you're not going for the stars, it's easier to just go in this area first and just come up here and then use the player cam to get the eyeball. Much easier than what I did. Okay. So now we're here. Actually, we want to be here. So now we can push this button, which will open the door. Yep. And then there you go. That's pretty much it. I like that one. It's cool. Forlorn. This is, if you've ever played Ori and the Blind Forest, one of my favorite games is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's actually my first Metroidvania, which is my favorite video game genre. It's actually my entire... Hollow Knight was my inspiration to start making video games. And I'm working on a very large-scale Metroidvania that I think is going to be really sick. What you want to do here, come up here. You want to land on this so that you can ride it. So I'm gonna do that. Slow down time. But Ori and the Blind Forest, there's a place called the... Oh, I forgot to shrink. Ugh! You have to shrink. Hold up. Can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. I don't think I can do this. I always forget to shrink for this level. I'm too big to fit through this right now. Oh, wait, I'm not. No, I'm not. I forgot. You can do that. Beautiful. Alright. I just right-clicked on that to reset the rotation. And then you just ride this up. There's a place called the Forlorn Ruins in the Blind Forest, where you pretty much do the exact same mechanic as in this level. You get on these platforms that that you can walk along, and they change your gravity orientation, and then you have to drop down to the next one, and then you just kind of chain those, and that's exactly what this level is, so I just kind of named it after that section. Now we're just going to wait for this to come down. Just push it down. If you want to get the star, this one's actually pretty satisfying. Just kind of go here. Brightness. Actually, it's easier if you're on the brightness. Because then oh, am I going to hit that? No, I'm not. Good. And then you just kind of hope you don't push yourself off. There you go. Yep, just got to be a little careful. And there you go. Alright, so this is the new version of screen wrap. There was a screen wrap in the previous game, but it was only horizontal. This is both horizontal and vertical. So if you don't know what screen wrap is, it just means you can walk to one side of the screen and come out the other. So you want to get, so your main objective is to push this button, because that's pretty much all you can do at this point, because you can't see the door, can't see the star, gotta push the button. So you zoom in, come over here to get out of your little prison at the beginning, and then you want to get here, which you can do by being very careful. Come over here, fall down here, which will bring you up to the top, and then do that, which I think is pretty satisfying. Jump over this. Getting the star is not terrible. If you want to get, you basically need to get here if you want to get the button, like so. This is going to give you an eyeball, which allows you to move the screen around so you can escape the bounds of the edges. We're just going to go ahead and one key. I completely lost my train of thought. Okay, we're just gonna keep doing the level. Oh yeah. Okay, so the eyeball is actually affected by screen wrapping as well. So you don't have to, but you can make it so that you can move the eyeball around to these different sections. We're just gonna come over here. Oh wait, I didn't want to do that. Oops. Alright, whatever. I'll just make sure I can get up here. So to get the star, am I screwed? I'm not screwed. I'd be screwed. Can I not make this jump? I thought I could make that jump. This might be a problem. No. I'm good. I'm chilling. Anyway, door's over here. If you want to beat the level, all you gotta do is zoom in a little bit, walk to this side, you'll come out over here. But that's not what I want to do. I want to get the star. So the star is also off screen. It's down here, so you want the eyeball to come down here. Come on. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, dang. I should have gone over there. Yeah, it's easier to get the star if you're in here already. So I probably should have just gone in there when I had the chance. There's the star. Right there. Alright. So. I need to push this over here a little bit. Like that. Zoom in a lot. I'm just gonna quickly go right here if I can do that. I cannot. Oh my gosh. Okay. Made it. Easy. I'm gonna come over here a little bit more. So there's the star. I can get that. So we're just gonna. This is gonna kill me, unfortunately. Not much I can do about that, but I can at least get the star. And then this level actually it doesn't take that long to beat, so I'll just beat it again real quick. One thing about this level, there is an Easter egg in this level, and it requires you to move the eyeball down into this section and then fall all the way down with it. So you and the eyeball have to be in this section to find the Easter egg. So anyone, it's very difficult to do. Originally the star was actually further down, and that's what you had to do to get the star. But I thought it was just too hard. It took way too long. So I made the star a little easier. So if anyone's up for the challenge, it's nothing crazy, just a little something. If you want to go down there. Oh, yep, that's how the game works. And then we come over here, reveal the door, to zoom in so I don't hit these spikes. And then boom, there you go. Get out of my way. Cool. This is yellow. I don't want yellow. Yellow's gross. Green? Sure, why not? So what do you do here, right? So this level is special. Every menu has its own layout, sort of, and you have to. So the interesting thing about this level is that the menu platforms actually move. They scale with the menu. So this stays the same size relative to the screen, which is really interesting. Because look, I can see the entire level right here. Oh, oopsie. So like this, you see that? You could actually get on top of it, but there's spikes up there, so prevented cheese. Anyway, I'm gonna do this, put around that, and then this doesn't really matter. So the original solution for this was to, yep, perfect, was to zoom in, and then you'll end up in this section here, and then you can kind of come across here, and then you want to jump up right here. This is like an indicator. Never mind. Okay, well, I think it's possible to jump into this little section by doing that, but we are going to do the other method, which is much easier. So you just do a big jump, boom. Now once you're over here, you just kind of pause again, and then you can jump up into here. And then, oh, there's spikes there. Great. There you go. So shift to settings, and then jump here. And player camera is not helping me very much right now, but I also don't want to turn it off because I don't want to leave the menu. But I can't get past these spikes. You see how this is the camera. There's a spike right here that I can't get past. So what we need to do is zoom in. So I move the spike out of the way. Then we go down here. You actually want to leave it up. Slow down time for this one. So you want to go to the brightness menu like that. Catch yourself. Then if you want the star, you go there, right there. And then to beat the level, you just come over. Oh, nope, wrong one. You just come over here. And then you zoom back out. And there's the door. Pretty confusing level, probably. But once you sort of understand how the scaling works, it makes more sense. So the idea, this is actually one of the first levels I made. I tweaked it quite a bit, but so these are hazards. You don't want to touch them. They're like full block hazards. The reason that these are here is because it's important that blocks can pass through these, because you need to get a block over here. So step one is click all of these. Obviously the main idea here is that you want to rotate all of these together while you're standing on it so that you can rotate yourself through this. So you're going to need the player camera because you need an eyeball up here. Because you can't actually see the top one, which is the one you need to rotate. So get here. Also, there is a button right here. This button controls these doors. And all you have to do is use the gravity to push that. So if I turn gravity up, that'll get pushed. Play camera so I can see what I'm doing. Slow down time. I'm going to very carefully. This is a big jump, so we need low gravity. But as soon as I lower the gravity, the doors are going to come back. So we got to lower it, and then we got to jump very quickly. And then you want to unpause before you click this, otherwise you're going to screw up your little stack here. So now that I can see the top rotator, that was the main goal of doing that. So now we want to come back down here. we want to turn gravity back up so that I can get here. Lower gravity, jump up here. And then this is pretty cool. So this is just gonna spin me all the way through this tunnel. Oh, I gotta unpause. Otherwise you hit the camera slider there, which you don't want to do. And I love how that lines up. That's just so satisfying. Anyway, if you want to get the star, this is probably my least favorite star, because you have to beat the entire level again after you get the star. But here's part of the catch, is that you cannot actually, I'm just going to go ahead and hit this. You want one of these to be over here. Because once you go down here, I mean, this is all you can do. There's no way to get over to the door right now. All you can do is fall down here. And then you're kind of screwed, because... Well, you're not screwed. You can still hit it from there. But basically, you need to relocate one of these rotators to where you are so that you can reset your gravity. And you can use this eyeball down here to push this up. So, boom. Now that that's up, we can reset our gravity. Like so. Beautiful. Definitely want to avoid those. So the star, you have to use the drop down to get over there. So I've already beaten the level, but now I have to get the star, which is just frustrating. Actually, you know what? I don't feel like doing this, so I'm just gonna explain how to get it. So if you really want the star, all you gotta do, although I won't be able to do the final bonus level. That's okay though. It's not that interesting. I mean, it's super interesting. You should get all of the stars because it's really cool. So all you gotta do is use the drop down. So enable drop down, brightness up. And you actually have to hit this again so that you can bring the drop down over to you. So there you go, it's right there. All you gotta do is get in it. Once you're in it, you just have to click on this again. It'll be dark though, so make sure you click the center of the screen, and then you'll go back, and as you can see, the drop down is now inside of this section, which is where the star is. So there you go, and then you get to beat the level again. Hooray! Alright, we're getting to the top 5, I think. Not quite. Oh yeah, top 5. Oh no, never mind. Yes, top 5. We didn't get the star. Okay. So this level is actually also one of the first levels I made. I made like the hardest levels first because I don't know. So there is actually cheese for this level. That's like arguably easier than the actual solution, which is not great, but that's okay. I don't really care. But I'm going to do the intended solution. So you want this to be up here. Oh wait, I have to change my gravity first. So I'm gonna do it here. Uh-oh. Yeah. So you want your gravity to be left so that you can fall through this tunnel. And then, so here's the catch. So you have to fall here, and you have to have something to land on, which is the time slider, because the time slider is going to bring you down closer to the door. Unfortunately, time slider is the only way to push this button, which is what opens up the path to the door. There's no other way. Actually, I think you can push it with this. I'm not sure if you can. You might be able to. Doesn't really matter though. You may or may not be able to push that. I don't think it matters, because you need to have this menu active if you're going to get to the door, so it really doesn't matter. So there's the catch. You need to use the time slider, but you also have to have the button pressed. Which means your only option is to somehow push the button with this bad boy, which is very difficult to do. Now you might start understanding why it's called pinch, because you got a section up here for the top part, and then you shrink this down, and you basically have it pinching this button closed, which is easier said than done. So step one, obviously you want to move. You want to move this over. It is going to need to shrink a little bit. Oh, I forgot to turn this off. Okay. Star's not too difficult, thankfully. So here's another use of the text, if I can get this to work. Just gotta push it in a little bit more. And then we use the text to push this across. Blah, blah, blah. And then we just got to use this to push this over. However, we need to shrink it a little bit, otherwise it's not going to be able to pinch the button. So that's probably the hardest part of this level, is just getting this to work, and then the stress of falling through the tunnel is kind of what gets you. I don't know if that's enough. Alright, hopefully that's enough. So now we need to push it out so we don't make it grow back. Alright, hopefully this works. So basically you just want to boom, boom. A little bit too small. There's also the issue of we don't want it pushed right now, but I can make this work maybe. It's a little bit too small. See if I can make it bigger. Okay, that should work. That should work. Okay. Now, now we have to actually fall through the tunnel without killing myself. And this is a scary drop, because you have to raise the time as you fall. Well, I guess it's not that scary. So position yourself, and then raise this so that you fall on it. Boom. Now, let's go ahead and get the star, which requires this. You just have to zoom in, I think, and then you can jump on the camera. Going very small, which actually might be good. Okay, thankfully time can slow down again. Now for the fun part. I have to get this to pinch the button closed. Oh, it's not very consistent. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. And I killed myself. Oh, no I didn't, thankfully. That is not good. Oh no. Oh no, don't do that. Please don't do that. No. No. Alright, it's a complete lost cause. Not yet, anyway. Hold up. I got a plan. We're gonna recover this. I can recover this. So we're gonna push the sensor back over this. Boom. Oh, I just reset the size. That might be bad. Maybe. Oh! Oh, perfect! I didn't even know that The default size is actually pretty good. Ah, okay. That's a relief. Anyway, pretty much gotta do the same thing we just did for the star. Zoom in as much as you can. Jump. And then you can't make it. Well, that is interesting. I know this is possible. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think what might be happening here is... Oh, I think you just have to use this. Yeah, okay, so use that and then switch back to the camera. Okay. Okay, just another layer of difficulty, because this game is not hard enough. Forgot about that. It's a big game. I can't remember everything. Alright, no control. Also a new version of a previous level. So the gimmick of this level is that you cannot move at all. You're stuck right there. You have to use the menu to maneuver yourself around. So you'll find on that later, you actually have to shrink. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, because it makes it a lot easier. So step 1 is you want to kill yourself with the brightness, because I forgot about that. So we're going to shrink again. There we go. So you need to position brightness in the correct spots so that you can drop yourself onto it like so. And then you can bring yourself over here. Now, you don't want to get big, so you gotta push yourself like this. And then bring yourself up. This is how you get the star. It's pretty simple. You just kind of do that. I left the easy star because these last levels get pretty tough. Especially the last two are kind of ridiculous. Anyway, you're not able to go through here. There's no way to get through that gap. So if that's what you've been trying to do, I apologize. Actually, I don't apologize, because that's the point, is you're supposed to figure it out. Anyway, since I have drop down active, as soon as I go to the other menu, this button is going to get pressed by the actual drop down part that you click on. So and this is going to bring a door over, which is going to push you, so I need to quickly bring the character out so it'll push you. This door also closes when this button is pushed so that you don't fall back in. You may be wondering why this gap is here. In the first place, it is there because it makes it easier to shrink at the beginning. It's also a good red herring, so now I have to quickly land on the gravity. Bonk. Yeah. Now we're here. We're gonna go down to here, and then you're pretty much free to drop down this hole. And then you gotta do the player camera, turn this off so I can see. Come down here. Actually, you don't want to come down here. Yes, you do. I lied. So this is where you have to use the text to push yourself off of this platform, which was actually in the previous no control level. That was the level that introduced the text, which was a little bit more confusing. Oops. But I try to introduce it a little bit more smoothly in this game. Anyway, we fall. You got one last door you need to push yourself with. button to said door is right here. Right there. And you gotta use snaps angle to push it. And then you can get the win. There you go. Tough level. Very tough level. Probably. I wouldn't know, because I'm pretty good at this game. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to pause. Yeah. So this level is a shout out. Shout out to Isolane. This was his idea. Sort of. I mean, I adapted it a little bit. But, basically, you can only pause when you're pushing a button. Or, I can't unpause right now. Basically, the pause button is these buttons. So when one of them is pressed, at least one of them is pressed, the pause menu is on. If none of them are pressed, then it's off. So, this level's, it's up there. This is the third from the last. So, what to do? Obviously, step one, you probably want to get out of your cage. So the only way to hit that button, well, it's not the only way. You could hit this button with gravity, but if you lower your gravity, you're gonna let go of this button, which is gonna screw you over. So you don't want to do that. You pretty much never want to lower the gravity for this level. Actually, that's not true. You do have to lower it later, but so the only way to hit this button, I think, is around here. Can use the player scale. That is interesting. There you go, good enough. Of course, having the player skill here blocks you, so you gotta unclick it, which will also unpause. But that's okay, because we can just stand on this. If you want to get the star, you have to shrink yourself, which is actually easier said than done. Because you gotta make sure another button is pushed, which is this one. So you have to very carefully shrink yourself one little bit at a time. Yep, very carefully. Kind of tedious, but I I added the stars after I made the levels. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. This one maybe not so good. There we go. Alright. Now, I forgot to do a very important step, so I'm going to go back. I'm not going to go back. I need to get back in the hole, so I'm going to go back over here. So this also explores another use case of the rotator, which is to push a button with the top part, which you can sort of do, but not really, because it just kind of does that. And this is important for later, so it's good to just set this up at the beginning. And then just hit this again. That is pushed consistently somehow. Doesn't really look right, but okay. So, if you haven't noticed already, the door only appears in the brightness menu, and it's up here. So there's two things you got to do here. First thing, you have to use the text to, well, actually you want to do that first. Got to use the text to push this, which will open up your way home. Of course, the text is now also blocking you, so you're gonna have to. So you want this set up essentially. You want both of these to be pushed. And then you want to push this, and then you want to lower gravity. Because you have to lower gravity so that you can make this jump. So now quickly switch menus. It'll stay paused because you push the button. Jump up here. And if you didn't have this pushed, then you would delete the text and it would immediately unpause, which would also get rid of the door, which is bad. So you have to have this here, otherwise you kind of get screwed over. And here we are, Odyssey. This is a level. This is most definitely a level. This I think is the hardest level, despite the fact that it is not the last level. It's also the longest level. I didn't want to make the last level the longest level, which is really the only reason why this is not the last level. But as the name implies, you have to go on a journey for this level. So step one, get over here, play your camera, got some more platforming, you just gotta jump over this. The star is hidden in this level. All you gotta do is come over here, and then, oh, I forgot to shrink. I always forget to shrink. That's okay, you can shrink pretty easily. Just gotta do this, get on this, boom, boom, there we go. Oh, that was satisfying. Okay. We need brightness, we don't need it, but it's there. Star. Anyway, this entire top section, you're probably wondering why it's there, because there's hazards here, and a door. So this section, you got hazards, so you can't go down here. But a box could go down there, which will be important later. And we learned that mechanic in the big spin. So once you get down here, you've got a couple options. You've got a door here, it's blocked. You've got platforming. Ugh! If I was good at the game, then that would not have happened. Okay. So, wow, if I did it again. So over here, you've got pathway down here, also blocked. However, this is the first button. So, if I push this, there's no way for me to get through this, because I have none of the UI is down here, so I can't really do anything. It's all up here. So basically, I would need to change my gravity to get through that. But I can't change my gravity. So if you explore a little bit more, you'll find there's a button up here. This button, if you click on the eyeball, allows you to open up this door from earlier. Now I can go down this tunnel, which is fun. Another door, because of course there is. If you click on this, you'll find that the button for this door is actually right here. You cannot push it. There's no way to push it. Which means that you now have to, also there's a rotator here, which is what you need. So, you need this bad boy needs to go on a little adventure of its own. Of course, since I clicked on it, I actually closed the door. So ideally, you wouldn't click on this before you push it over here past the door. But you're not screwed. All you have to do is click on this while it's transitioning back to the default view. And then open that. There you go. That's actually part of the puzzle later, but you don't have to do it yet. Anyway, you want to be here, behind this door. So, click back on this. This is the fun part. So I have to bring this all the way over to the right side, where the room is, so that I can open the door over there. What you could do is you could use this. This I button to. You could bring it down here where the ending is, and you could go down there with it. And oh geez. And you'll find that there's still no way to get past that spike tunnel. But you could bring it over there. Anyway, we need this to be over here, which is going to be annoying because this is... That's exactly what I didn't want to happen. This part's annoying just because you gotta wait forever for this to happen. Yeah. And then over gravity. Bring this over here. And you have to raise it up again. And then you just wait for it to go through this tunnel. It takes a little while. And so we're going to drop it through this spike thing. Like that. But it won't actually get through the door. So you have to push this button. Let's raise the gravity. Okay. Now we can push this. So these next couple steps are very important. First things first. Oh wow. You want to get this as close as possible to not pushing the button. And then you need to rotate yourself so that you can fall through the tunnel at the end. So then you're going to jump off of that, which is going to close the door. And then you got to be in here. So you don't really need this anymore. I'm just going to... I already have that on. So now you got to use these as like little platforms. This is actually one of my favorite parts, because now the entire previous platforming section has been like repurposed as... oh great. As a new challenge now that your gravity is different. And now we're going to do the exact same thing we did earlier. Click this again. Yeah, this level is ridiculous. But I was at the end of the game. I really wanted to use every single mechanic I could think of. And I also wanted a big level like this. So I just kind of decided to screw it, make it as hard as I want, you know. Most people probably won't even get to this level. So this jump is only possible if you go from here. And then you can actually make this. And then you want to jump over to this section up there. but you can't make that jump from where you currently are. So you have to zoom in and get some extra height by doing that. Oh, I almost killed myself. Alright. And now you can make this jump. A little ridiculous, but there you go. And then you gotta remember where the first button was. And then, boom. Make sure that this is pushed down stably before you try to fall through this, otherwise you'll get crushed. And there you go. That is Odyssey. Probably the hardest level. But this next one is also pretty hard. This is the last one. Alright, last one. Interdimensional Box. That is this box. It is interdimensional, so there's only 2 dimensions in this game, one being, you know, the real worlds, and the other being the UI world. So the way that this box works is not only is it a toggle, so it can activate this, but when it's off, it's just a regular object. And when it's on, it's part of the UI. So it will be affected by zooming in and out. So what you want to do is first you want to zoom in while it's regular, and then you want to do this, and then I'll put it inside of this area. You can use that to push the button. Then you go over here, boom boom. Really the hardest part about this level is maneuvering this box around. So you need the box right here to get up there. There's no other way to get up there. So somehow you have to get the box over here. So step 1, let's bring it back to where it was. And we actually want to move it over a little bit this way. Like that. And then we need to click it, lower the gravity. I think that'll work. Lower the time. Click it, zoom out, brightness. Too far. Zoom in a little bit. Might still be able to do this. Yeah. Okay, so once you get it on brightness, you need to bring it all the way over here. Click it. Now it's just a matter of getting it over where we want it. But we also don't want it to be too big. So it's best if you have it land on this. Oh, never mind. That doesn't really help. That's okay though, it's not really that hard to shrink down. And as you can see, this activates the door. Which is very important later, obviously. So we want this to fall down. We can go ahead and zoom in. Actually, I want to be able to see where it is from the player camera. It's right there. So let's zoom in. Just speed this up. So now we can get this out into. Oh, that's right. We can push the door down with that. Huh. Uh-oh. I may have found cheese for this level. Hopefully not. Because there's a door later that, I still don't think that's cheese. Hopefully not. Alright, I'm trying to shrink this. So the only way you can shrink this really is by zooming in and pushing it like that. No. Alright, that's probably not enough. One more. I'm gonna make sure it's still above me. Okay, good. I can work with that. Now we just gotta get it to where it needs to be. Oh, that was close. Oy! Oy! Yeah, this part is actually kind of scary. Alright, so the star is down there. Go ahead and show you how to get the star. Hopefully I don't mess it up. But you want this to be down near the bottom. And just write it down. And then you want to... Exactly. It's too big. So I'm just going to shrink us both. You'll notice that when I move this with the camera, I'm going to be too big here. When this is part of the UI and I adjust the camera, it still moves the box, which is very important. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this. It's going to push me. Alright, I'm so close. I'm going to shrink it a little more. Oh, that might be okay. Okay, needs to be small. Push it down. Starting over. Come on. It's a more reasonable size though now. I'm gonna just gotta bonk it over and over again. Uh-oh. Oh no. Alright, fine. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Get this down. We kind of want it as far over as possible, so I'm going to just push it a little bit. Better. You have to be careful so you don't accidentally spike yourself. Yeah, this is where it gets a little scary. You kind of just have to keep clicking it on and off so you don't get spiked. That should be good. Yeah, now you just gotta do the same thing in reverse so you can get out. Don't push yourself through the box. That would be bad. Okay. So now you might think that you're trapped because you can't get the box back over. All you gotta do is zoom out and then zoom back in. I'll bring it over here. We get to start over again. Yay! Don't kill myself. That would be sad. That would be sad. Okay. Now I gotta position this box so I can use it as a platform. I'm gonna bounce it up a bit. It should be good. And now we jump on it. Jump over here, don't touch the spikes. And now we zoom out because we need this to hit the button. Which I think is a really cool solution. And then you can use gravity there to push that down, but basically, oh wait, I need to actually zoom out. So here's a very important step. You have to zoom out all the way. Well, not all the way, but may as well. Lower gravity, raise gravity, turn that into the UI. And then this button opens a door that would normally be right here blocking your path. So here is the big finisher, I guess. As long as you've set it up correctly, then if you zoom in, you will actually you'll bring it all the way back right there. You can see it just barely right there. So from the button all the way over there, if you zoom in all the way, you'll bring it right there. And that's probably one of my favorite solutions in the entire game, which is why I saved it for last. And that's the end. So there you go. That's every level, pretty much every star, except for the one that I'm not actually going to get. I'm not going to show you all the bonus levels, because y'all got to beat the game if you want to see them. They're super cool. You should go play them. And there is another reward if you get every star. So good luck with that. Hope you enjoyed watching and hearing about how I created the game and my thought process. If you have any questions about the game, just leave a comment. I'm not really a YouTuber. I mean, I am working on lots of projects. Well, not lots. I've got one main project I'm working on, and then I've got my Metroidvania, which is a huge project. It's like pretty much on the same scale as Hollow Knight. Well, not the same. It's smaller than Hollow Knight, but I am currently a one-person team, so it's like a, I don't know, 7-8 year project. Definitely looking for artists if you happen to be watching and you're interested. My Metroidvania it's sort of inspired by liminal spaces and surreal environments. And sort of one of the main selling points is that all of the environments are going to be like new and interesting and unique. I feel like every single Metroidvania I play just has the same like tropes, the same environments. There's always like a crystal cave. There's always like a mountain, a snowy mountain area. There's always like a green area, like a grassy area. Always like a generic cave area. It's just the same thing. I see the same aesthetic over and over again. And if you're making an entire world, why not make something interesting, you know? So, and there's tons of crazy mechanics that kind of work together, sort of like in this game, how the mechanics work together and create something that is greater than each individual part. If you're interested in working with me, I guess just reach out and I can tell you some more about it. See if you're interested. Hope you enjoyed playing this game or watching me play. And I guess I'll see you next time. I may or may not make devlogs. I'm not planning on it at the moment just because it's a lot of work and I would rather just work on the game. But maybe you can subscribe and you'll find out. Alright, well, peace.